Bordo from the Sports Unit of the European Commission. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very well. Good. I am delighted to be able to address the TAFISA meeting in Bordeaux today. I'm sorry I cannot be physically, but I think it's very important to have this opportunity to address this audience on the occasion of your conference. I will give you a background introduction to the white paper on sport published by the European Commission, and I will explain a bit the position of sport for all in the white paper. So let's go to the whiteboard. The year 2007, last year, was a decisive year for the youth sport. It was a vintage year. The year the adoption of the white paper sport on the 11th of July, the first comprehensive policy initiative in sport. There has been a publication like this one before, bringing a new approach to sport. It was also in the year when the Lisbon Treaty was adopted, it will have to be ratified, it was signed.
Excuse me, Mr. Brother, could you please speak before the microphone more?
Yes.
That is better, thank you very much.
Can you hear me?
Yes, better, thank you.
Better, okay. I'll keep the telephone as close to my mouth as possible.
Okay.
So it was the year of the white paper on sport, which I will present to you in more detail, and it was also the year of the Lisbon Treaty. We are still waiting for the treaty to enter into force, and first we need to have it ratified, which we hope to have completed by the end of 2008. Next slide, please.
Next.
The white paper marks the culmination of a long process, starting with the Amsterdam Declaration, which is a short, non-legal document attached as an annex to the Amsterdam Treaty. And the same is true of the Nice Declaration, annexed to the Nice Treaty. These documents do not have binding legal value, but they stress that the EU should take the needs of sport into account when the EU institutions take decisions that may affect sport. Next slide, please. There were 2 years of consultation preceding the adoption of the white paper. It started because the sport article was included in the now failed Constitution Treaty, which you will remember was on for referendum in France and the Netherlands and did not succeed. At that moment we did not know that we were going to have a new treaty, but we thought there would be some kind of initiative in the field of sport. And we took the opportunity then to consult with our stakeholders, sports organizations, and with member state governments. We had an online consultation, and I'm not lying, we got 777 replies. And we consulted with our colleagues in other commission services of DG. The result is this document, which is a white paper. Next slide, please. Our white paper is not a piece of legislation. It is a communication from the Commission, but a very important communication. This white paper has got 3 thematic parts. Part 1 on the societal role of sport. We say societal because it includes social, cultural, educational role. Part 2 on the economic dimension of sport, and 3 on the organization of sport. And I think that for an organization like TAFISA, part 1 on the societal role is the most important part, with sections on public health, doping, education and training, volunteering, social inclusion, racism and violence, external dimension and sustainable development. Next slide, please. Then you may ask, what is the place of sport role in the white paper? The white paper has a strong emphasis on the societal role of sport. We start with the societal role. The professionalized and commercialized sectors of sport have an interest in other issues and wished the white paper to grant blanket exemptions from certain rules, for example, under antitrust law or competition law. We did not give certain exemptions to the professional branch of sport. But to grassroots sport, we have given a power to support sport for all and allow public authorities to maintain a favorable treatment of them, including in taxation matters. Next slide, please. This is in part 3, the economic dimension of sport, where we propose 2 things. When you read the white paper, you will see that there are sometimes a number, and the number points are action points which we have committed ourselves to carrying out, and on which we will have to provide progress reports to member states. Point 37 says, as contribution to the reflection on the financing of sport, the Commission will carry out an independent study. And point 38 says, given the important societal role of sport and its strong local anchoring, the Commission will defend maintaining the existing possibilities of reduced VAT rates for sport. It's a very important section, and as I said, the professional section for sport did not give such an exemption, but there was one for sport for all. Next slide, please. So we had, as I said, part 1, societal role, part 2, economic dimension, part 3, organization of sport. Different actors of sport normally have an interest in one particular medium, but they should all be read together and in connection. Part 2 is, as I said, about public support for sport, but it's also about the economic impact of sport. So that's about the job creating role of sport. Part 3 includes questions which the professional and commercial interests of sport have a big interest in. The specificity of sport, that's the questions about what makes sport different, and that's where sometimes some flexibility is provided with regard to EU legislation. But you also have questions like transfers, claims, agents, and the protection of minors. But I think that's really for other actors of the sport movement. In part 1, the societal role, we have action points on public health, about overweight and obesity, and the need to support fitness initiatives. Fitness plays a key role in this context. And the health-enhancing physical activity, a concept developed by the HEPA network of the World Health Organization's European region, that is a key concept which we would like to further via a network at EU level, together with the existing HEPA network of the WHO Europe region. That's just one example of one of the thematic sections in part 1 of the white paper. And finally, to give you an idea of what is likely to happen in the next month, I want to show you, next slide, this is slide 12, I want to show you the proposal of the changes foreseen in Article 149 of the treaty as amended by the Lisbon Treaty. We have an article which is already about education, vocational training and youth, and we're adding sport to it. It says that the Union shall contribute to the promotion of European sporting issues while taking account of the specific nature of sport, its structures based on voluntary activity, and its social and educational function. Here you have a very strong reference to sports for all organizations. And the Commission will then have powers to not to harmonize, not to make binding legislation, but to launch certain incentive measures. That means that we can have a political cooperation at EU level, and we can have a European, an EU sport program. It will still take some time to implement that. First we have, of course, to get the ratification of the treaty by member states, but we know that that is already quite well underway. Organizations like TAFISA will be key players in the implementation of this new policy. Next slide, please. It's slide number 14, where you have a couple in their car, hiding else. I'm getting out of breath, just keep my foot on the accelerator. This is the cartoon I've included to underline how much we're interested in health and physical activity. Sport is physical activity, not only competitive sport, but physical activity in various and distribution and other things to public health. I hope it has been a useful, short introduction to you. I guess it's the first time you see such an introduction to the white paper. So I wanted to give you an overview, while also highlighting why this white paper is relevant to a sport for all organization like TAFISA. We know that the work of TAFISA is very important, and I would like to wish you a very successful conference in Bordo. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are any appropriate new programs, for example funding programs, which might relate to sport for all activities and initiatives that can be started in Europe over the coming years?
At the moment there is not one dedicated program, although there are funding opportunities. For example, in the public health program, it is possible to get funding for this type of project. But we hope very soon that we can start preparing for a sport program. We will be asked to do so as part of the implementation of the new treaty article. And before we start the program, there would normally be 1 or 2 years with so-called preparatory actions. Preparatory actions are small budgets which are allocated by the European Parliament in order to test the feasibility of certain ideas and concepts. Then we can have for 1 or 2 years a small budget with a small pool of proposals and just a few projects per year, but the organizations that will do such projects will help us to test the project. And that could be something like 2009, 2010, 2011. And then after that, we could imagine a sport program, but that depends, of course, on what the European Parliament will decide to give us, because they, as the legislator, give us budget.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another question? Between your unit, sports unit, and the health unit, because there is a special program promoting in European Union for health for the time being 2008 and 2013. What kind of relation do you have? Do you have any relations about that?
Yes, absolutely. We have a very good cooperation with the Directorate General for Public Health and Consumer Protection, DG Sanko, and they were closely involved in the preparation of our white paper. We published a white paper on sport, and the same year they published a white paper on obesity. And we told them also to remember to write physical activity into the obesity white paper, because obesity is not only a question of nutrition, but also very much a question of lack of physical activity. So we have very close collaboration with them. 2 days ago we had a meeting in an inter-service group on sport. That's a group, those commissions,